I found a book this morning that I have always had since I've been a kid, and it really made me happy. So I'm going to read you a poem out of that book, and Steve, will see if you are good enough to guess what book this is from. When I am gone, what will you do? Who will write and draw for you? Someone smarter, someone new, someone better, maybe you.
Oh, I know what that's from. I I
Where?
I don't know if I don't know the book because but I think I can guess. Can I guess the book or guess the author?
Either one.
Where the sidewalk ends.
Good. Good.
Oh,
I found I found my two like favorite childhood books today, and that was the that one Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein, and oddly enough the the Stinky Cheese Man. Have you ever heard of this book?
no, but I do remember like Gloria Stout when I take the garbage out and she let it pile high. I
Such a
read that
weird book.
as a kid. I read that book as a kid too.
Looking back, it's such a weird book. Um, oh, we have guests. Hi, we're a little late. Steve was fixing his hair, so
I didn't do a good
apologies.
job either, so my apologies. Sorry, not a good hair day today, but whatever. I can't get prettied up
Um,
all the time.
so yesterday we had the Smoking Nun, and Ethan ugh, Lindenberger came on. Have you heard of this guy?
The Anavax kid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
been all over. Testified in front of Congress. Well, he mentioned yesterday that he started a debate club at his school. He's really big into like thinking about arguments rationally and getting, sussing them out. And so somebody by the name of Ryan Price was watching the stream. And interestingly enough, this Ethan is just an amazing kid. I mean, he's just so smart. And we got to the point where we were talking about what he was going to do in the future. And he had mentioned that he was going into the ministry. He was going to a like a Christian based higher education, and he's going to enter into the ministry. And so somebody reached out to him yesterday and said they would like to talk to him about his applying critical thinking to vaccines as he did. Why doesn't he take this next step and go further and apply that with religion? So they're actually going to be back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ethan will be back here, and they're going to have that talk here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you're here for that. As well, tomorrow is a doubleheader. Uh, Tomorrow night's going to be wild. I don't know if many of you know who Flat Out Elected is, aka the pimp Rand Campbell. He was a pimp. Is that what I'm hearing, Steve?
Yeah, he was a pimp and a con artist, and I think he was I don't know what kind of I don't think it was mafia, but I know he was definitely involved in whatever kind of dealings that is,
Yeah,
illicit
Rand.
dealings.
Yeah, he is a very 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 boisterous theist. He ran the in the great debate community circles quite often several years ago. I remember he had a really bitter feud with Alex Botten, really loud theist. And I like to think, imagine if you took George Lujack and you handed him a megaphone. This is Rand Campbell. Is that accurate?
Pretty much. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Rand's got Rand's thing is he's got personality. He's got a great voice. He's got personality. He knows how to talk the talk, walk the walk. It's hard to be convinced by anything he says because he's over the years said so many things that are demonstrably shown to be incorrect. I mean, I do believe his past. I mean, that has been kind of verified. But he used to have stories like he once claimed that he got swallowed by an anaconda and had to cut himself out from the inside with a knife.
Oh,
I mean,
for
this is the
fuck's
level
sake.
of what he actually used to put out a long time ago. Now he moved away from that kind of stuff because now he's more popular. You know, he's got popularity. But I just never trust anything that he says. Now, I personally have always gone along with him, but I still think he's a con artist, and I think most of what he says is poish to me personally. And I could be wrong, but I don't know if he really believes half the shit he believes.
I have a hard time believing it, and we're gonna watch a clip in just a second. But it seems to me that once he saw that flat Earth was getting popular, that's when he moved into his flat Earth or his flat out elected mode. So Shannon is starting a series with us here on the show. She will be kicking that off tomorrow, where she will be actively trying to get into the heads of people who have more conspiratorial minds. She's starting off with Rand Campbell. They had a chat on Steve's channel last year. I'm just hoping that this actually takes place, because watching Rand last night, he couldn't get the name of the show right. I'm hoping that he arrives at the right place. Well, I'll let you guys see for yourself what show Rand's planning on coming on tomorrow.
Under this hang of this video, I put a link to the secular show. I'll be on that. I'll be doing an interview with Shannon Q, a psychologist out of the province of Nova Scotia. Just a second. Somebody's calling me. 1 sec. I'll be.
Well, while we wait on, you can keep playing it just a little bit, Dave. Fast forward just a little bit. I want to hear what he has to say about what we're going to be talking about. Just go a couple seconds ahead. There we go.
We had a war, and we have got to be armored up in these days, guys. Enough of the foolishness. There's way too many Christians that are lukewarm in these days. We need to really, really get our armor on and get serious. It's getting really, really crazy. You still have to box. Amen, old school. We still got to put the armor on. You know, when Christians start thinking, if I won't put the armor on, we've won this war, I'm just going to sit back and relax. No, we got to fight. Yeah, we gotta fight. We gotta guard our grills, guard our salvation. You know, wear the breastplate of righteousness, put on that belt of truth, the boots of peace. We're at war. We're on the battlefield. It's gonna get real crazy. And if you think it's not gonna get crazy, I'm telling you, just listen to me. It gets a lot crazier as we move forward.
Now stop right there, Dave. You can cut back. Now he's talking about going to war, but if you notice, he said right before that, you've got to put on your boots of peace and then go to war.
Like I said, I don't believe much of what he says. I mean, if I remember correctly, maybe the audience could refresh my memory on this, because it's really hard to keep track of so many years of stuff that happened in the Great Debate community. But I believe it was Rand Campbell that years ago professed to be a Christian, but did not know even what John 3:17 said. Right? I mean, he used to kind of be, John 3:16. Sorry, John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And then after it was pointed out to him what that passage was, he seemed to quote John 3:16 for like several months afterwards, like all the time, as if he was trying to compensate. But you can hear in his voice, to me, when Rand Campbell speaks, I get the same inflection from him that he uses as I hear from like a pastor that's bullshitting, right? Somebody who's just using articulate speech to try to convey bullshit. That's what I hear from Rand. I don't know if other people pick it up, but it doesn't sound sincere to me personally.
Well, I think it should be. I'm going to point this out tomorrow. But Rand is a notorious homophobe. Is not a fan of the gays at all. And on this stream, it was funny because someone said they were talking about like demons or something like that, and someone, I don't know if they were being funny, but someone in his live chat said Vince McMahon, and he went on this 5-minute tirade. He said, "Oh yes, absolutely, Vince McMahon. You know, Vince McMahon, he's one of those purveyors of the gay, because you know that's all WWE is. It's just
the gay.
It's just homosexuals everywhere. It's a homosexual sport. I mean, he just went off on Vince McMahon for being a demon. Why do we do this to
Is
ourselves?
gay now a noun?
Why is he coming? Why are we doing this?
Wait, is gay and homosexual now a noun? The gay?
I assume so. Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew?
But why are we doing this?
I don't know why Rand does half the stuff. Like I said, I think he just in it for the attention. I think he
No,
likes the fact that people
why are
like
we?
stuff.
Why do we continue?
Oh, why
to
are
do
we
this?
doing it? Oh,
Yes.
I don't know why we. People seem to enjoy it. It's frustrating. It really is when you have to deal with this kind of bullshit. People think it's easy coming in to talk about this stuff. It's not. Some of the stuff, like, it was disturbing listening to you guys talk the other day about EA. It was really disturbing. I was even bothered by it listening to Shannon. That was sincere on her part. She was emotionally hurt by some of the stuff, and I don't blame her. Then people were talking about about argument from emotion and kind of criticizing her for being emotional. It's a fucking emotional issue. It should be an emotional issue.
There've been a couple people that have said that oh, this shouldn't have been handled this way, blah 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 blah. Well, fuck that. When you go to somebody in private first a year ago and they talk you into believing something that wasn't at all true, and you show them for what they are, and some people don't like that. That's just tough shit. And if you're one of the ones that thinks it should have been handled differently, well, you'll fucking get over it. That's all I have to say. When you get compared to a pedophile and all the rest of the things, an estrogen-filled bitch, I believe was another thing that he said to me. I don't care if you call it an argument from emotion or whatever you call it. I exposed him for what he was, and I wouldn't change a thing. I think everybody that was in that hangout did remarkably well. They spoke from the heart. Sometimes that's needed. Sometimes when somebody is just that level of a scumbag, there's really no better way to handle it. And, if you don't like it, tough shit. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think the only way EA can save himself now is actually say that he does like the dick and that he was just one of those typical anti, homophobe. Those people that always preach about anti being gay and you kind of find out he's gay. That would be the only way I can say saving grace for him. Even then, it's a little bit touch and go, but at least that would be explanatory. I would feel for that, right? I mean, I do know people have somehow they think by condemning people that are gay because of their own insecurities about their sexuality or they are gay themselves. We've seen that happen. Matter of fact, quite common. It just was in the news the other day. Some lawmaker stepped down for that very thing. He was having sex with a guy in his office who was vehemently, anti LGBT. So it does happen, right? It does happen. I don't know if that's the case with the gay, but I think he's just a bigot. But whatever.
I did get somewhat of a half-assed apology. Where he said that he was heated in the moment. He still had love for me. Blah, blah, blah. Well, the feeling is not mutual. I have no love for you, sir. So you can go on with that. So that's what we got tomorrow. Ethan Lindenberger and Ryan Price at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then Rand Campbell and Shannon at 9 p.m. I would love to tell you what their topic's going to be, but I have a feeling that if I were to tell you one thing, it would not even come close to that. So there's no telling where it will go. Why don't you just come and we'll find out together? A couple things to talk about before we open up the phone lines. I've got we didn't do headlines last night with Katie because Ethan was short on his time, but I do have headlines tonight. And before we get into that, though, I'd like to touch on Jilly Juice because it was interesting. Jilly, after we did a stream, I believe it was 2 weeks ago now. Maybe it was a week ago. It all runs together. No, it was last week. She apologized to me. I didn't accept her apology because I didn't think that her apology should have went to me because I wasn't a victim of her. I told her she needed to apologize to the people that have been on her protocol. She didn't take that too kindly. She then the next day did 3 streams, I think, about me, and she said that she had a document in that which was going to expose me, and she referred to it as an article. She said, "I have an article that I have found that is pretty damning, and I'm going to expose Kyle." This is how she built it up. So Katie sends me a message and says, "Did you see the what Jilly said about you and the what the article said?" And I said, "No." And so Katie sent me the link to the article, and I clicked it, and you are not going to believe what Jilly was using to expose me. The Jaronism video from last year about the moon landing.
I saw that actually. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Wait,
That was pretty funny.
so Jillian, and Jaronism both have issues with understanding sarcasm.
Well, I think she just Googled my name,
Yeah.
and came across the first, like, because if you do that, then the that Jaronism on his website or whatever, he wrote, like, a little blurb about oh, Kyle really believes that we didn't go to the moon, that kind of stuff. So she thought she had something. This was, she literally, you should have seen her face. She literally thought that she had, like, the smoking gun on me.
Yeah,
You
I
got
think
me.
she's exactly right. Yeah, I think
You got
she
me.
she Googled, first thing came up, she didn't do her due diligence. Shocking. And yeah, I see that a lot though. I honestly, I see a lot of people think they got gotcha moments, right? People seem to live in a gotcha moment type mentality on the internet. Not a game that I'm a favorite of by any stretch of imagination, but it is funny when you hear things like, oh, I got you on this, or I'm going to expose, something exposed. And yet 9 times out of 10, if not more, it backfires on the person, makes them look like an idiot.
Yeah.
At least when we do a takedown, we do an actual takedown.
I guess this is the end for me.
Good
I
run,
will be
Kyle.
forever damned to the I guess who's my best friend now? Merv. He's the one that doesn't believe that we went to the he's the guy that we've had on like twice that doesn't think we went to the moon, right? So Merv and Jaronism. It's been fun, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Okay. Now, speaking of homophobes and people who say really weird things associated with the LGBTQ community, have you ever heard of a lady named Roseanne?
Which Barr?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of know of her. Yeah.
Okay, prepare yourself.
Yep.
She's changed.
The word is a really hateful word, isn't it? It's like, wait a minute, we're not supposed to say that word. Well, how come you're saying that word? What? I just can't say the word. All that LGBTQ stuff. Okay, let me just be real. I put the Q in LGBTQ, okay, because I am queer as two mother. I'm queer. I'm alien. I don't belong here with all these people.
Damn, she's a nutter, dude. Just an outright nutter. That I don't think she just took Ambien. I think she OD'd on. I think she snorts it and shit. Holy crap! What the fuck was that?
Roseanne, honey, listen. Let's have a chat, okay? You were so close to having a really big comeback, huge comeback, and you said something very racist and something that you should have used some discernment and not said, and instead of apologizing and handling it in a better way, you have gone off the deep end. I don't know why, but what you just said there made absolutely no sense. And if there was some sense of like if something could be made from that, I might get offended, but I really can't when I'm not really sure the point you were making there. So
I don't think she had one.
Well,
Yeah,
she looks rough.
maybe she's actually trying
rough.
to admit that she is an alien, like an actual from the fucking outer space alien.
Yeah, maybe. Well, in the beginning, she said she was alluding to. She was saying her point was, why can some people say fag but I can't? That's the word that she said at the very beginning. So I'm not sure what got her kicked off on that, but she's going, why can't I say? Why can you say that but I can't say that? And then she called herself queer, said that she was part of an alien group, and that she didn't understand anything. Oh boy.
Well, I don't think she does understand much.
Oh boy. Okay.
I was never a fan of Roseanne.
Let's get to the headlines here. We've got some good ones here. If you're a fan of Netflix and you watch anything to do with Nicolas Cage, this will be a treat for you. Nicolas Cage's wife of 4 days is already seeking spousal support. Now, Steve, have you been on Netflix lately?
I don't go on Netflix, but I do watch Netflix shows.
Well, if you do, then there are every other video is with Nick Cage. Like, he literally has a stake in almost every video there. So he's got the money, but this says Nick Cage's estranged wife may have hit the jackpot, even though their Las Vegas marriage lasted only 4 days. Erica Koki is asking for spousal support, according to legal documents obtained by TMZ, claiming she missed out on job opportunities due to her relationship with the Moonstruck star and that her reputation has been hurt by his allegations. She also wants him to pay for her legal fees. The pair tied the knot on March 23rd after applying for a marriage license that same day. Just 4 days later, Cage, 55, submitted paperwork to have the marriage annulled.
Well, I mean, if he's having it annulled, how does she get spousal support? I mean,
Yeah,
she
that-
can't she even file for that? I mean, obviously, if it gets annulled, there's no spousal support.
Right,
But how does she even sue for that?
I don't know.
There never would be
Right, Dave, because she was never married, right?
Right.
What'd you say, Dave?
I was just gonna say, if it's annulled, it's as if they were never married, and a state annulment is actually pretty. The whole point of it is that were never married in the first place.
Okay, well,
divorce is where you get spousal support. So I don't know.
Here's the crazy thing, though. Cage stated in his annulment request that he and his new wife, Koki, a makeup artist, had been drinking to the point of intoxication before getting hitched, and that he lacked understanding of what was happening. So basically, he's saying that she got him drunk and took advantage of him by getting married. He wasn't cognizant of what was going on.
Was there Rohypnol involved is my question.
Probably. I don't believe that, though. I think that he did something, we all have done stupid stuff for people we love or whatever. And I think he maybe was a little drunk, maybe was a little more willing to do things like that. They went and got married. The next morning, he realized what had happened, and she was already filing for spousal support. You picked a winner there, Nick. Very good job.
Yeah. Must have been a hell of a drunk, though.
Must be. All right, Dave. I love this story. Cops claim that mice ate a half-ton of marijuana in the evidence room. More than half a ton of marijuana disappeared from a police warehouse without a trace, and upon investigation, the police who were responsible for the warehouse claimed that the missing contraband was eaten by mice. The incident occurred in the Argentinian town of Pilar, which is 60 kilometers outside the capital city of Buenos Aires. Incoming police commissioner Emilio Portero grew suspicious of his predecessor, Javier Specia, the city's former commissioner, who seemed to intentionally leave marijuana unaccounted for in his records before he left the office. During the investigation, Specia and 3 of his subordinates all had the same story. They claimed that there was a large amount of plant matter was eaten by mice. However, the forensic experts investigated the scene and determined that the explanation offered by the police was highly unlikely, and there was no proof to substantiate their claims. While it is true that mice do often eat marijuana, it would have been physically impossible for them to eat such a large amount, and there would have been ample evidence in the building if this were the case.
Oh, to be a rodent in that evidence room.
Oh, you know they were getting high as fuck. Come on.
Yeah. It's this.
my
This
ass.
says if a large group of mice had eaten it, a lot of corpses would have been found in the warehouse. A local judge said, all by indications, this is an inside job. In fact, if this type of thing happens all the time, corrupt cops are notorious for stealing drugs from the evidence room so they can either use them to resell back on the streets. In most cases, they actually never get caught. However, it is possible that this is just an internal police struggle between high-ranking officers at a department who are attempting to cover up their tracks by pinning the blame on one another. It's very possible that this massive theft would have never been covered if it weren't for the change in leadership. In 2016, the Simpsonville Police Department was the victim of a massive robbery in which $30,000 in cash, drugs, and guns were stolen from an evidence room. However, an investigation uncovered that it was actually an inside job carried out by an officer who had worked in the department for over 2 years. That's wild to think about, isn't it? I until I saw this story, it never crossed my mind that this would be an issue. That temptation, if you're busting people on the streets all the time and you're running across all this money, all of this, cocaine, marijuana, drugs, it makes sense that there would be dirty cops that would fudge on the records.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Because once the trial is over, once a person's been convicted, what happens to that stuff? It's supposed to be disposed of, right? But
but how?
How? Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Up next, speaking of jails and the legal system, a man was smuggled out. A man smuggles out a fellow prisoner in a garbage bag from prison. Steve, would you do this for me?
You out of prison? No, but I'll send you some baked goods.
Well, listen. I just want you to. I want you to listen to this man's loyalty to his friend. A resident of the Dutch city of Gouda will be back in court on Friday, April 26th, on December 28th. Last year, an earlier sentence ended for him. He walked out of prison towards his freedom, but he also smuggled a prisoner outside. Now, I like how this story, in the sort of subtitle of this story, it says he walked out of prison, Deschisch in Rotterdam, towards his freedom, but smuggled a prisoner outside as well, and that is not allowed. I love how they put that it's not allowed. You're not allowed to smuggle out prisoners in this story.
Who knew?
The other in this story, another prisoner hitched along in a garbage bag. The prisoner, who was small in size, crawled into the bag that was tied by his buddy. Once outside, the prisoner tore the bag and out he emerged. According to other detainees, a prison worker walked with a guivenar. I guess that's a word for a CO. During the escape, the garbage bag did not attract attention, much to the hilarity of these prisoners. The suspect from Gouda was arrested in January. The man he let escape is still on the run. So the guy that actually earned his freedom and smuggled his friend out got arrested, and they can't find the guy that was in the garbage bag.
Now, do you think the other guy's going to come back for him and help him out, try to get him out?
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No way.
Okay. We've got a couple more here, and then we will open the lines up. This is just a just make you go ugh. Parents sue son's football club for emotional abuse by substituting him. The Winner's Rangers were sued by the family of the boy who was 10 years old, who claimed that he was a victim of emotional abuse. They took the case to course in Reading, Berkshire, and were successful. The club's directors said they knew nothing about it until they received a letter informing them of the fine issued at the county court. The boy was substituted during a preseason tournament in 2018 while playing for the Aztec youth side. Despite the substitution, he was signed up for training for the new season by his dad, but was suddenly removed in September, and the family got a refund. His dad accused the club of racially targeting the boy and reported them to the council on the school and the child protection department, as well as taking them to court. Club secretary Philchick said that they were disappointed to lose the player and conducted 2 investigations alongside of the county. He added that the most important thing for us as a club is the children. We want them to enjoy playing football. If they're a good player, they are purely a bonus for us. However, we must often substitute so that every kid can get the opportunity to play. Substitutions are just a part of the game, and the manager wanted to give everyone a fair chance at playing the game for an even amount of time. Losing thousands of pounds is a big hit for a local club like ours. So this family had their child play, and then the kid was pulled out so that another kid could go out and also play. And the family sued that athletic club for emotional abuse for substituting their child. And they fucking won.
That's entitlement. Such fucking entitlement. How do they win on that? I mean, how do you actually even demonstrate that? I would love to read the transcripts from that court case. I really would. I'd like to see how the judge found in their favor. By what law, by what thing was that contributing emotional distress? I mean, that's just bizarre.
Now, one thing to point out is that this did take place in the UK. This was not here. And
oh, well, fuck those guys. Those guys have no idea if they're the law. No, I'm kidding. Love you guys in the UK. Love you guys.
What judge in their right mind looked at this case and said, "You're right. Your son has been emotionally abused. He was pulled out so that another kid could have equal time playing in the fucking game."
So what's next though? Is somebody going to sue for physical assault next time, like a quarterback gets sacked?
I'll tell you what's next. The next flat earther that we have on here, I'm taking to court for emotional abuse.
Oh, I would love you to sue Russian Vids. Will you, please?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's
a good idea. Actually,
it's the same kind of judge that would actually sit there and prosecute somebody for, teaching their dog to give a sig heil. That
is true.
Thing. That happened in the UK too. So I mean, it's that.
Yeah, that was Cancula.
Yeah, that is true. They still go by the is it Ireland that still has the blasphemy laws?
Quite a few places do. And I know Canada still has something along those lines, but yeah, a lot of places do. So I don't know what specifics ones do, but many countries have anti-blasphemy laws and anti laws. Like for example, Germany, you can't do the Hail Hitler salute. Well, understandably so. Canada has laws against certain types of insulting of religion and things of that nature. So yeah, it's there.
Yeah, but I mean, this goes to a whole new level. Like the precedent that this sets is just that's what courts do. The decisions that courts make, that sets a precedence. And if you set a precedent that if your kid is pulled out just for the sole fact so that another kid can have the opportunity to play a fucking game,
it's pretty sad.
And that's emotional abuse, get the fuck out of here. Like, honestly,
yeah, like you said, it's such a weird precedent, doesn't
it? It's stupid. And speaking of stupid, let's get into some Florida and our other lovely states that give us the best news. Dave, a woman beat her boyfriend with his prosthetic leg after he threatened to break up with her. Doesn't she just look sweet? She just looks like she's so sweet.
Yeah, she's
A woman who beat up her ex-boyfriend with his own prosthetic leg earlier this year because he tried to break up with her was arrested last Wednesday. On February 11th, Michelle Jackson, who is 58, was drinking with her now ex-boyfriend when he told her he wanted to see someone else. The man went to sleep without incident, but awoke the next morning with an injured hand and a large cut on his head that was dripping blood. Jackson, who had left before authorities arrived, allegedly told a relative that she had beat the man with his prosthetic leg and thought she had killed him. The woman allegedly... Oh, I got an ad. Hold on. Hey, when that happens. The woman allegedly told police that she had stabbed him, but Rivard said there was no evidence. U.S. Marshals arrested Jackson in her home on Wednesday. She was booked into the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center on aggravated battery and charged without bond. Lovely. And for our final story. Oh boy. A man steals.
That's that could have been me.
A man steals $1,000 worth of Slim Jims.
I mean, Slim Jims. I can't help it. They're so bad for you, right? Because the nitrates and the salt, they're so bad for you. But dang, that's a need right there to steal $1,000 worth of Slim Jims.
I mean, look, if you're gonna okay. I just have to ask the mindset. Like, if you decide that you're going to steal something, right? You're actively going to go and you're going to steal something with a value of $1,000. Why the fuck would you choose Slim Jims? Why? Okay, is this did the Macho Man come back to life?
How many Slim Jims is that though? I mean,
We're about to find out.
You couldn't eat all those. They'd kill you. That would just be it'd be too much nitrate
not all
and salt.
At once,
I'm sure.
No, it could take you a long time to eat that much.
Police are investigating the theft of more than $1,000 worth of beef jerky sticks from a gas station. The manager reported the theft shortly after 9 a.m. He said the items were stolen between 11:48 and midnight. Surveillance footage showed an unidentified man enter the store and take multiple Slim Jims jerky sticks, all valued at a total of $1,012.66. The man went to the restroom before walking down the snack aisle, stuffing the food down his sweatpants. The man had so many jerky sticks on his person that he bent over to tighten the bottom strings of his sweats before fleeing the store in a Chevrolet Malibu with dents on the left side. Okay, so it doesn't say how many. Number one, why does a store have $1,000 worth of Slim Jims in it anyway?
That's a lot of inventory for Slim Jim.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that guy that worked at this detention center. This is a true story. This happened last year. He worked at a detention center, and he was the canteen guy. He ordered the commissary that the kids or the people at the detention center could buy, in addition to what was provided by the state. So it was like a little convenience store almost inside of this detention center. And for the years that he was working there, he had been ordering cases of fajitas and taking the fajitas and selling them off on the streets. He would order extra cases of fajitas. Yeah,
I remember that.
They didn't sell
$1 million, wasn't it?
$1 million. They didn't sell fajitas at this detention center, but he bought fajitas. And the day that he was supposed to get his orders in on a certain day, they had a mix-up at the place. By fate, he called out sick, didn't know that the order was coming in that day. The order comes in, someone else had to check in that order, saw that there were fajitas, asked why the fajitas were here. The driver was like, oh, well, he gets fajitas every time. They start doing some investigation. $1 fucking million worth of fajitas. $1 million. And he got 50 years. 50 years he was sentenced to in prison. 50 years for fajitas. Now,
you get a year for Coke.
I was saying, think about it this way though. When you go to prison, like it happens to every new person. Happened to me. Happened to people after me. But when you walk into whatever dorm, whatever cell block that you're assigned to, the first thing that is asked by somebody in the crowd. Like you're walking down, everybody's kind of standing around you, and the first question is, "What are you in for?" And can you imagine going down the line and somebody going, murder one, rape, distribution. What about you? Fajitas, motherfucker. Can you imagine that?
I wouldn't want to be.
Can you
Do they really?
imagine?
No, wait. Did they really?
I
Did they
wouldn't wanna
really
be
do
a
that,
s-
Kyle?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do. I
Okay.
wouldn't want to be a cellmate though, because you know what? That's a lot of gas.
I'd be like, that is one badass motherfucker, man. I don't want to be his cellmate. That motherfucker deals with fajitas, man. I ain't touching that shit.
I bet you that he doesn't get messed with because it's things like that that are outside the norm that people's not gonna fuck with you. They're like fajitas, 50 years.
So laughable, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
But
it's interesting.
Maybe that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe that that Slim Jim guy, maybe that 1K worth of Slim Jim. How much is that worth if he was going to kind of sell it in lieu of the commissary type stuff? He was just going to sell it to inmates. Would it be quite a bit more, probably?
Oh yeah, everything in the commissary is like quadruple the price. I remember a honey bun, like it literally said on the honey bun wrapper. I remember thinking this was so wild because I ran a store. I ran the store at the prison that I was at. You have to take when you go in, you have to take all these tests and like aptitude tests or whatever. And because I had a college degree, they wanted me to run because they want somebody that can do math and inventory and that sort of thing, which is really the best job there. I mean, I loved it, but we would get in this stuff and we would get in honey buns, right? And the honey buns on the fucking packages would say 25 cents. It literally said that, like, printed already on the package. This is what you get at like a convenience store, that you would pay 25 cents for because the manufacturer already puts it on there and you just sell it, blah 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 blah. They were $1.25 there, so they're actually making 5 times on a honey bun than they're what they should. Everything's marked up that way, everything, just because they know they can get it. You offer a limited amount of selection. The food sucks in prison. Like it is awful. And so the only kind of bleak light that you have is being able to get these sort of extra things at this commissary thing. So they know it's just like with the phones. They can they gouge people with the phone for a 15-minute phone call. It's $20 to call home. You pay $20, you get 15 minutes. And it's rough on a lot of people, but they know they can get away with it, and nobody's really making a fuss about it, unfortunately. So Kyle, you love being in prison. I didn't love being in prison. I got that when I told my best friend that I was when I was waiting for the prison bus to come get me in jail. I told him that I was going to be going away for a year, and it was like, "Oh, you on a place with thousands of tatted up guys? You must be so excited." At the time, it wasn't the time for jokes like that. Looking back, it was pretty funny. But no, I didn't love being there, but I had to. I didn't have a choice, and it's one of those things where that place will either make you or break you. When you go there, it's such a mind fuck and such a complete departure from what you're used to. It's such a the isolation, the boredom, the constant fear of the person that's right next to you, seeing people like get stabbed and beat up and hit in the head with locks in a sock. And it's just like, you never know what's happening at the next second. You never know when somebody's going to go crazy. You never know when, there's going to be lockdowns, when you're going to get raided by the COs. It's just a constant, getting ready for what's next. And in that moment, you can either say, well, I'm going to succumb to that, and I'm going to, let it beat me. I'm going to snap. I'm going to go crazy, and I'm going to act a fool. Or you're going to be like, I'm here. I'm not getting out. I'm not getting above. I can't climb that fence. Number one, because it will electrocute me and kill me. But I'm stuck, and so might as well make the best of it. And so what I did was I had my brother and my parents send me graphic textbooks every 2 weeks, and I would just sit there and learn how to create the graphics like you see here on the show. It wound up working out for something, so that was good. I used my time wisely there.
Yeah, not.
You were too
What,
big
Dave?
for the. I was gonna say you're too big for the garbage bag. Come on now, Kyle.
Yeah. Not to compare being in the military to being in prison. I'm not trying to make that comparison, but the mindset is somewhat similar. When you're in for 6 years, you're in, right? You're not getting out. And you have people that fuck with you. I literally had people, at least one person in charge that would fuck with me almost my entire Navy career. There was always that one asshole everywhere I fucking went. I couldn't believe it. It was like really weird. Everybody else mostly got along with, right? For the most part, most people were pretty chill. And if it wasn't that one person, it probably would have been a overall decent experience, right? But there's always that one motherfucker that wants to go out of their way to make your life a living fucking hell. But you have, like you said, you have to learn how to deal with it, and you just suck it up. You're not getting out, trust me.
I'll tell you. Somebody's asking. There's 2 questions in the chat, and I'll answer those real quick. All for possession. No, I had like I had a marijuana. I had been found with pot before, and then I had a like a open container and a public intoxication ticket, all because I was at a bar one time. I got a phone call. I had a beer in my hand. I stepped outside of the bar. There was a cop on a bike. Literally, as soon as I walked out, like as soon as I stepped out, I was like, "Oh shit!" And because I was outside on the sidewalk, that was open container and drinking in public. And what happened was, I wasn't supposed to go. I was. It was a Friday. I was cooking at a restaurant. I was the executive chef at a restaurant called Ethos in Salisbury at that time, and I had a wedding rehearsal that night. I'll never forget this. My mind was on the wedding rehearsal. It was not anything on the court or whatever. I was going to go to court. My lawyer had already worked out a deal with the prosecution. They were going to give me 3 years of probation, and like I had to do some drug classes, that sort of thing. And I mean, it just wasn't a big deal. I had to show up just for technical reasons to sign shit. But I remember looking back, thinking about this rehearsal dinner that I had. There was a bride. We had been setting this thing up. It was just it was a big deal. And I got there, and the way that Randolph County works at the time was, I think they still do this. They're short on judges for some reason, and so what they do is they have 3 weeks of the month where the local judge that's supposed to be there is there. The 4th week, a judge from an outside county rotates in. He'll come in and rotate in to fill that week to give that judge off. And so my day landed on a day where we had one of these rotating in judges. He was from like 3 hours away. The prosecutor didn't know him. I mean, he didn't know anybody in it's not like it usually is, where the judge knows the prosecution and the defense attorneys and all that stuff. And so I'm standing there, and the prosecutor says, this is states out the case, gives the plea deal over to the judge. The judge is looking over it, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how they do it in that county that he's in, but he called the prosecutor and my attorney up to the bench. Though they were talking for a while, I still wasn't thinking anything, but I remember looking at my attorney when he was walking back towards me, and his face was just screamed, "Oh shit," like something's wrong. And so I'm like, when he gets back over to me, I'm like, what's going on? And he's like waving me off, like, he obviously can't talk to me in front of the judge. And the prosecutor's face is like, what the hell? And so basically, long story short, the judge said that I had a blatant disrespect for the law. He's seen this before.
Wow.
He's seen this before. There's only one way to curtail this sort of behavior. Otherwise, it leads to a destructive path. He gave me a lecture, like, hands down. I still wasn't thinking anything of it. I was like, okay, maybe he's going to extend my probation, whatever. So he says, I I'm sentencing the defendant to the Department of Corrections for a term no less than 1 year and no more than 2. And I remember going, this is like, just thinking, this is a joke. Like, this is not. And before I could move, before I could do anything, a bailiff comes and grabs me up by the arms and moves me over to against the wall, and they're patting me down, and they're putting handcuffs on me, and my head's still going, but wait, I've got this rehearsal dinner. I just remember thinking that the entire time. But wait, I have to do this dinner. Like, the bride is counting on me. Like, you don't understand. I'll come back. I have to do this dinner. And my car was still out. It was just a wild day. It didn't hit me until like a week later, and when I could settle down.
If that was in California, you would have been out the same day. And I'm not even joking. I mean, the laws are kind of like different here. That small petty stuff, I don't think anybody would have given a second glance to.
It's I remember his last words to me was, "Go with God, son."
Oh, God. That's just adds fuel to the fire. No wonder you're pretty anti-theist. Yeah, that would have bugged me too. Even as agnostic, I would have been like, "What the fuck?"
I hated that man until I look back now, and like in the career I was in, and the way that I was going, I was still doing cocaine when I could, and just being in the culinary world is just, it's balls to the wall. It's 16-hour days. Like, if that hadn't happened, as shitty as it was being there, as shitty as it was, and I would never ever want to do that again. There was nothing like standing at that gate 369 days later, and that gate moving. And like, it sounds so cliche. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but stepping over from that world back into the real world, like, you felt that there was something, like, there was an overwhelming, like, I was crying like a baby. I mean, just stepping back across that gate. And I was somebody different and somebody better, because up until that point, I was struggling with coming from being a Christian and coming out as gay. I had just ended a relationship that I had for 3 years with a girl. It was just a lot of things at one time, but being in that environment forced me to do something that I had never done in 25 years of my life, which was be me. I had to, I was faking being straight, faking being a Christian around my family when I wasn't. But in that cell by myself with just me, I had to be me. I had to learn, who I was. I had to be okay with being me. And I don't know if I would have done that had I been out here in the world. Because when I came out, yeah, it did. When I came out, I didn't care if people didn't like the fact that I was gay. And the craziest thing, and I tell people this, the craziest thing is, in there, everybody that I had an interaction with that asked me, they were like, because it would get to that point where they'd be like, people would talk about their girlfriends or whatever. I would never say anything. So people would ask, are you gay? Every single person in there said, don't hide who you are. Don't not be who you are. I got treated better by society's worst than the people that said they loved me on Sunday morning or Wednesday night at church. At those Sundays,
they're pretty tolerant. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Military people are the same way. Nobody gives a shit. I mean, even back in the Clinton era, where it was "Don't Ask, Don't Tell," nobody cared. We had people on our ship we knew they were gay. There was just no question about it. They didn't have to say anything about it. Nobody cared. I swear to you, not one person even would say anything derogatory, because they would be fucked over by people. I don't even recall one person ever really spewing anti-homosexual nonsense. They didn't do that for very long. So it's really looked down upon.
I going there saved my life. if I had to do over again, I wouldn't change a thing about that. It's weird to say that, and like when people when people find out, they're like, "Oh my God, you went to prison." But some of the most creative, some of the most inspiring people. There are bad people in prison, yes, but for people who were there, I was around the nonviolent people. The things that they can do out of nothing is amazing. And this goes into somebody else's question that I have access to trash bags. Yes, and we made swoles and steak cakes, and people could create some of the most outstanding food. Well, in there, some of the most outstanding food with, I mean, just the way they could draw and create things out of nothing. The only difference between the people who were in there and that continually go back and people who are successful was that those people inside, and I learned this, never had somebody tell them that they deserved anything better. They never had somebody say, you have a talent, you can do something with that, do it. And if this world just had a little bit more, of that, a little bit more encouragement, because there were people in there who were super talented and didn't know it. I mean, they just thought they were, just doodling on a pad, but they were making like masterpieces. It was amazing. So yeah, it would, it was an amazing experience. And I know that sounds very weird, and nobody should ever strive to go to prison, but it's what I needed to teach me who I was as a person, and that there are, life can throw surprises at you and curveballs, but you can come out better. It's all about what you have up here. Okay. Sorry, I ran my mouth way too long there. We
got people that want to call in.
Yeah, let's get them. Who we got up first?
Definitely have people that want to call in. Well, the person who was just on the phone, unfortunately, went to voicemail before I could catch it. So the next person to call in is first.
Okay, well, you can call in at 1-818-921-3838. That's 1-818-921-3838. Preferably people who disagree.
Hello?
Hello.
Who are we speaking with?
Katie.
Hi.
Hey. What's happening?
You?
Hey. I saw this going on, and I just watched your episode from 2 nights ago, so I had to call in.
Oh, well, I'm glad you did. How's it going?
Yeah. Good. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Yeah, it's me, everyone. It's Katie. It's really Katie. It's Katie from the Smoking Gun.
Everybody says hello.
I believe you. Which episode were you talking about from the other day? Were you talking about EA episode?
I was just watching the Emperor one.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was difficult to watch.
Yeah. So last night before we went on the air, we were talking about how you had a really stressful night and you're still feeling it. And so I was like, okay, I have to watch this because I need to see what's going on here. And then I started like getting really upset. Like I am so sick of my heart breaks that this is like a continuous fight with people about homosexuality. It makes me so mad. And I just wanted to say that I support you, and I really hate that you have to continually go through this.
Well, I do appreciate that. It's there will always be people who are bigoted, hateful, have ignorant ideas. The best revenge is, to me, to keep going. To not let them in any way think that they're deterring or think that their opinion matters one iota, because it definitely doesn't. And so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep being fabulous, and everybody that is also like me or different, also just keep being a sassy bitch, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, and stop being such a dickhead, Emperor. Seriously, like I can't believe I didn't realize to the extent of like how much you guys were friends with him, like or how involved you were when you guys tagged me in when the Twitter fight started, and then as I started watching it, I was like, holy crap, what a dickhead! What a dickhead move.
Yeah.
And
the sad thing is, assholes live forever. I've learned that.
Yeah.
Assholes live forever. Trump.
Well,
Steve.
Yeah, I seriously.
I'm never gonna die.
I hope more. No. Well, Steve, we love you.
We do. Katie, did you hear that Ethan is coming back tomorrow?
Is he really?
Yeah, somebody reached out to him. I got a message from a guy named Ryan today that had reached out to him after our stream and wanted to talk to him about his religious beliefs and why he didn't apply his critical thinking that he did to the anti-vax situation to the religion situation. And so they're going to come back tomorrow at 4 to have that talk.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. He was such a fun guest to interview. I was so impressed with his articulation and just how insightful he was. And I appreciated his insight into sort of the mind of an anti-vaxxer. He gave me a lot of things to think about that I hadn't thought about before. So
yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing, and he's such a nice kid, and I really, and I can tell that he's feisty, and he likes to, like, debate stuff, so cool. I hope you guys all enjoyed our interview with him.
They did.
Good.
Well, Katie, we're going to get some of these callers down.
Yes, I got you, boo. I just want to know you're like, I got you, boo. Screw you, Emperor.
Well, I appreciate it. Love you.
All right. Love you too. Bye.
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 All right. If you have a disagreement that you have with Steve or myself, please give us a call at 1-818-921-3838 or a question or something that Steve?
You know what I like to find? I like to find somebody who actually is going to want to support EA's position and call in. I would find that to be interesting if anybody does that. So far, I have not seen any. But
Hello.
If you are out there, if you're out there and you support EA's position in any way, even as maybe a devil's advocate for him, I would be interested in hearing your argument. I really would, because I think that what EA did was just unjustifiable. But maybe somebody can play devil advocate for him. I'm willing to at least listen. But damn. But anyways, who do we got?
Hi, my name is Chase, and
hey, Chase.
I was wondering why Matt Dillahunty is refusing to debate you. Because I watched an episode on his show a few weeks ago, and he brought Steve up specifically and how he won't debate him. And I was really curious as to why, because I couldn't find online or any reason why he wasn't.
Steve,
I don't want to debate situations. I have the utmost respect for Matt. He doesn't agree with me on many things. I don't agree with him. We have fundamental differences. He doesn't really know my positions, though. I think he strawmans literally every one of my positions. But I have no desire to debate him. I've never wanted to. I've never asked to. I've had literally. I talked to him once when he came on the show for a few minutes before. I had a few tweets to him. Other than that, I've had no contact with the man. I don't know why people think that I have anything to do with him. I just don't have any connection with him. Why he just goes on 4 or 5 different channels to discuss me, I have no idea. But I have no desire to debate him. That's never been even on the table.
They had a disagreement about his definition of atheist and where the burden lies. That's pretty much the gist. And I don't think either one wants to for whatever reason wants to meet and sort of come to a either agreement or to air why they disagree with each other.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to make my arguments on
that they're both wrong. No,
That's
I'm
it.
joking with you.
So look at, I'm happy to put forth my arguments. I do it on my own channel. He's happy to put forth his positions, which I think mostly is him not being able to really source anything, but his own opinion. I do things by sourcing, but we have our own platforms to do those things with. If people disagree with him, they can go to him and they can argue against him. If they disagree with me, they can come over and argue against me on my own channel. I have open hangouts. Anybody can come in and say, hey, Steve, I don't agree with you. All I ask is you bring some form of backup, some form of citations with you we can talk about. If not, to me, you're just giving an opinion. To me, Matt's only given his opinion. He has nothing beyond his opinion. And that's the distinction, right? So there's really nothing for me to even really have a discussion with him because he's just giving his opinion because he's a member, or actually he's on the board of American Atheist. They have their agenda, their political agenda. I have what I'm coming from a psychological or some psychological, philosophical backing, right? So we come from very different places, right? So he might be quote unquote correct in his own little dominion, but I'm coming from more of an academic standpoint, right? And so
both respect each other. They just have a different
I
opinion.
have nothing against Matt. I have never said anything pejorative against Matt ever. I watched his videos. I've been a longtime fan of the Atheist Experience. I think there's some issues lately going on with them that I'm not a huge fan of. But I like the man personally. I've never had anything derogatory to say about him. I just disagree with him on some things. I think he gets fundamentally wrong.
I'm trying to put out fires. Put out fires.
I like Matt though. There's no fire to me. I happen to like the guy.
Take that away. Chase.
Online, it just seemed like it was a lot bigger deal than I guess it actually was. But
people made it
thank you guys for clarifying.
You know how people.
Like I said, if you go back and look at the Twitter thing, I had like 6 tweets to him. That was it. That was the whole thing. Was it literally? I never talked to him on Facebook either. So
do you?
Yeah, I have very little connections.
Chase, do you have anything else you want to add?
I mean, I'll probably call back in again to have an argument or something with Steve or something, but that's it for now.
Awesome.
Good deal, my man.
Awesome. Thank you.
You like
Thanks.
that? Yes, thank you, dude.
Bye.
Okay, 1-818-921-3838. 1-828-921-3838. Trying to avoid a live Twitter feed here. We both have
that was a fair call.
Way too much. It was a good call.
Hello.
We got
close. It got close. It got close. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, this is Austin from Seattle.
Hey, Austin.
That would be cool. That would be cool if it was Austin from
Yay.
Austin, Texas. That'd be cool.
What's going on,
What's up,
Austin?
What's up? Hey, I got 2 questions for Steve. I want to piggyback off that last call. Yeah, I want to piggyback off that last call and ask, what are your disagreements with the Atheist Experience show?
I don't really need to go into that.
For fuck's sake.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't need to give the reasons. I'm just giving my statement that I have some. I'll say this. I like Talk Heathen more than I watch the Atheist Experience. But I like all the people on there. Matter of fact, I'm a huge fan of like Tracy Harris. I actually watch Jan Peoples, so I'm a huge fan of the people that host it. I like their content, but I actually am more on the line friends with people like Eric from Talk Heathens. I like Jamie Boone, who's the president of the ACA. Those people I actually correspond with and talk to frequently. So I'm more interested in the Talk Heathen than I am Atheist Experience in nowadays. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I like Talk Heathen more too, actually.
It's a great show. It really is. I'm a huge fan of it.
Love their show. Second question. So why every time you bring up Washington, I know you lived there at one point, you're always shitting on it, and I need an explanation for that.
No, I'm not shitting on what. Okay, look there's 3 states of weather in Washington. There is just rained, about to rain, or raining. That's it. That's all you get. I think I was up there for 3 years and saw the sun like once.
It's true.
Okay. Didn't you live in Wenatchee or something?
No, I lived in Bremerton.
Oh, okay. That's why. Yeah.
Dude, it was always overcast. I'm not even fronting. It was always cold, wet, rainy. Although I enjoyed my time up there. I mean, I was stationed in like San Diego, 32nd Street. Wasn't a fan. Didn't like San Diego. Had no fun there. But in Bremerton, I enjoyed it. I used to go to the Denny's on Wheaton and Waring, between on Wheaton and Waring. I don't know if they're avenues or streets, but the Denny's is up there, about a couple miles off the base. Time of my life. I had my first drink at age 21 there. Met a couple girlfriends there. It was fun. I actually enjoyed that. So I don't shit on Washington. And Seattle was amazing, man. The coffee, food. Oh yeah, I love Seattle.
You talk about Denny's a lot. You like Denny's, don't you?
I do. Yeah, because I used to like when you get off watch when you're in port, right? When you get off your watch duty, if you don't have a watch day, you get to kind of do what you want. You can leave base and you wear civvies and whatever. And so most people would head to somewhere. I headed to Denny's, and I would sit there with a bunch of friends, and I had a lot of civilian friends that I knew up there. And so that was a place where we went to kind of go hang out. Mm-hmm.
How long were you stationed up here?
Close to 4 years.
Oh, nice.
Maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Well, Austin.
But no, I like Washington. Good state.
Yeah, I'm just.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Love you guys.
Yeah, hope you got an umbrella.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
It did rain a lot, though. It really did.
That's why I said I've got an umbrella.
Have you been up there, Kyle?
No. My hair doesn't do well in wet conditions.
I went to Seattle once, or a couple times, and it was raining the whole time.
See, exactly. It really is.
My hair doesn't do well in that kind of climate. All right, 1-818-921-3838.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Who are we speaking with?
Well, there's two of us. Pick one. Yeah, who are you, and which persons do you want to bone?
Hi, Sandring.
Oh, Sandring.
How could you pick?
All right. Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Who do you want to bone?
How could you pick that particular poem from where the sidewalk ends? Come on, tickle me, tickle me too. Went for a ride in a flying shoe. Hooray! What fun! It's time we flew. Said tickle me too. Fits you perfectly.
I was always weird as a kid. I like the ones that no one else liked. And I've been that way with everything. Like if a group of people, want to do this one like ride or whatever, I'll go and do the one that's not, Like I remember I fought this is so stupid, but I fought my cousins. Like we got into a really big fight when we were really little because they wanted to go on this stupid teacup twirling thing, and I wanted to ride that log flume that when you come down, it soaks everybody that's on the landing, whatever. And there's always somebody on that landing that gets surprised when they get wet. Always, every time. Like do they not see that like every 20 seconds there's one that comes down and gets someone wet on the thing? Yet you go and you walk and you people. Anyway, Sandring, what can we do for you tonight, sir?
Oh, I just wanted to complain about your literary choices. My favorite poem from that book is still Listen to the Mussins. I wrote an entire short story, children's book about that poem.
No shit. Shel Silverstein, very underappreciated.
I thought so. It's great. I've got an actual vinyl album of him reading his own poems, and the man sounds insane when he does it.
That's amazing. He was a genius, that's for sure.
He did
when I found that book today, I was so excited. What was that?
I said he did an adult book too.
What was the name
of it? One of the poems. I don't remember what the name of it was. I just remember being in the bookstore. I was skipping school one day, and I was down at the bookstore, and I saw a new book that I had never seen by Shel Silverstein, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool." So I picked it up and started thumbing through it, and went, "Oh, whoa, that's different." Like one of the poems has no words in it, but it's called The Blowjob. And it literally is what it sounds like. So yeah, I thought that was a little bit different.
I could write that. I feel like I could write that book. That's what I'll title my autobiography. Although Confessions of a Discount Gnome has a better ring to it.
Yeah,
it does have a better ring.
Yeah. All right, sir. Is there anything else that Steve or I can answer for you before we answer the rest of these calls that are flying in?
No, I think you can talk to other people. Thanks very much for the cool avatar.
Yeah, did it finally show up?
Well, it showed up on my page and all that stuff, but when I type in the live chat, it's still got my old one on there. I don't know how to change it or get it to change.
Sign out and sign back
in.
in.
I have. I've switched accounts. I've signed out, back in, and live. It's just live chats when I leave comments on videos.
Clear your cache in your browser. See if that does it.
Okay, I'll give that a shot.
Cool. Thanks, man. You're the best.
All right, have a great.
You as well. All right. I can see that we're getting a pile of calls because my Skype on my phone is continuously going off.
Hello?
Going up. Hello.
Who are we chatting with? Hello.
Hi, is that Dave?
This is Kyle and Steve.
Oh, wow. There must be a huge delay on the stream because I'm listening to the last call end. I didn't actually expect to get through so quick. I'm like, hi, guys. It's McCuff.
Hi. And there is a delay, yes.
Hey, I get this shitty international call every time. I can barely hear a couple of words. But actually, Steve, when you said play devil's advocate for EA, I thought I'd give it a crack. And please forgive me, Kyle, if I say something you don't like, but I really I had a thought in EA's favor and thought maybe try and mull it out or express it.
Sure. You're already dead to me.
Oh, bloody hell, this call is terrible. I hope you said that's okay. It's not so much justifying EA's behavior, but rather trying to express how our reaction to what we perceive as bigotry or homophobia, etc., can be more damaging than the bigot in question. So everyone has irrational thoughts. I mean, I have an uncle who's an engineer who owns a pharmaceutical company, but he drinks miracle mineral supplements. I mean, a man who understands chemistry but drinks bleach as a remedy. So, like, everyone has stupid ideas, but we can look past them and say, okay, you're a fucking retard in this one singular domain, but I can see so many positive things about you in other aspects of life that I can appreciate those and look past a fault. When it comes to things like homophobia, if people approached EA in that manner, there's more likelihood of him realizing how he's at fault than as opposed to shunning him or ostracizing him, which basically solidifies his position because, you know, people are naturally adversarial when it comes to, you know, the things they believe. So you tell him to get fucked, he tells you to get fucked, he thinks he's right. And it's happened to myself. Like in one particular instance, I've never been a fan of the natives in Australia because I grew up in an urban environment where I only ever saw them being vagabonds. I got mugged by a group once, and my thought was that, you know, they're backward scum, until one day I was dating a girl, and after a few dates, it turns out she was Aboriginal. I mean, she was blonde with honey-coloured skin. I would have never guessed it. And, you know, eventually she was teaching me about, well, you know, she ended up teaching me a lot about Aboriginal culture and identity and completely turning me around on how I felt about a whole demographic of people. Mm-hmm. So maybe being less outraged and more understanding, treating bigotry as a type of ignorance as opposed to something to vilify a human being over would be a more productive approach to helping everyone get along.
Maybe, but let me give you my take. Number one, my goal throughout this was never to try to get everybody to get along in this scenario. I handled it the way that you suggest here, because I do think that you are correct in what you say, that handling it in the manner that you described is absolutely the best way and the most effective way. And it was a way that I handled the situation a year ago when he posted this comment, when he said that all of these faggots, these download faggots, are giving people, I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it was something like all these download faggots are giving other DL brothers AIDS on the download, something like that. And I had a conversation with Steve about it, and then I had a conversation with Shannon about it, and then I went to EA personally, and I said, "What's this about?" And we had a conversation. We talked through it. I gave him my side. He seemed like he understood, seemed like it was just a knee-jerk reaction, and that he apologized. I let it go. I didn't say anything. I didn't make a public spectacle of it. I didn't say anything. Nobody knew until Sunday when I brought up that this had happened a year earlier. But and then after that, I even had him on again. Like I said Sunday, I had him on my show after he did that to talk about the discrimination. And so when this happens again and again, and he doubles down again, and he compares me to a pedophile and people like me to being a pedophile, I am sorry, but my patience for having civil discourse has just run the fuck out, and I no longer care to whether I reach him or bring him over to this side or not. I just was my goal was to make sure that everybody knew what the true EA looked like, and I believe I accomplished that.
And let me add on that. Real quick, we can add on that. I agree with you, by the way, caller. Here's the thing: when EA first said this, my initial reaction was not to jump on his shit. Matter of fact, I didn't. If you go look at the very first comment I made was along the lines of, I really would like to know, EA, why you think this way. Something along the lines of, this is kind of surprising to me. Why is it that this is coming out now? Why are you saying this? And I was doing exactly what you said, and I agree with that. Is usually the best course of action. However, there has been prior instances with him, and the only way now, I think, because of his doubling down, because of the pejoratives he has said. I mean, he actually referred to Kyle as an estrogen-filled faggot or something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken.
Bitch.
The bitch. Sorry. And so
I do claim that title.
Fair enough. But he was doubling and tripling down on these things, right? And so at that point, I had a private conversation with him as well. And, I'm not going to go into specifics of it, but I can tell you this. I told him this is his hill to die on. And he basically then started asking me, well, Steve, are you gay? Do you watch porn, Steve? I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I do like lesbian porn, yes. But I'm not gay. But what would it matter if I was? If I want to be gay, I could be gay. I have no I don't care a shit if people call me gay. It doesn't bother me. It's not a pejorative to me, right? I don't think that way. But it was strange that he asked that, because he really I think he honestly believes that being gay is wrong. That it's something that is unnatural, or something that is just it shouldn't be. I mean, I really sense that he has a bigotry. So it's not that it's listen, kumbaya, and get together and try to change his position. I don't think that's going to work. I think that Kyle tried it once. Shannon's tried it before. I would have to see some severe contrition from him to actually think that he had a actual change of position and mindset, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. And do either of you think that it's doubtful that he'd ever change his mind on this one subject, but do you think if you ever had to cross paths in a professional manner, that you guys could look past Emperor Atheist, perhaps if he wanted to do a debate with another creationist on non-sec? Like, do you guys think you could set aside your differences and focus on what you like about each other?
No, you see me pull for a creationist for the first time.
Yeah, I don't have him blocked on Facebook, because I still agree with you. I want to know what he's saying and why. I mean, I have not extricated him as far as that, but I'm not going to have any, I'm not going to have him around. I don't want to have any dealings with him. I certainly will not have him on the show, no, or my channel either.
Okay.
I wonder. My question is this. I wonder how much of this, like I made this point to someone else last night. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you're guilty of this, but the what little pushback that comes back about the way that the situation was handled. Steve and I talked about this before we went on the show tonight. Steve and I have done this in a similar fashion with similar titles, similar thumbnails, 3 other times on this show. Those 3 other times happened to be theists that were bigoted and said really dumb things, and there wasn't the level of pushback on that. I think it's just because he was somebody that's a part of this community and somebody that has the term atheist in his name, that there is for some reason this sort of sense to sort of mend ties, and that doesn't need to be the case. For me, I'm not going to treat him any differently than I would a bigoted theist or a bigoted Buddhist. To me, they're all in the same boat. I have no sentiments towards him because he was an atheist. The only thing that he and I have in common was our lack of belief in God. Other than that, we are completely different, and I have no problems kicking him the fuck out of my life for the remainder of it. Period.
Yeah, and I don't, and having the title atheist in your name doesn't give you a free pass.
I would disagree with that. I think most of the pushback isn't because he's perceived as a member of the community. I mean, I think I saw him on that one appearance on NonSec, and I didn't think he was particularly articulate or had many original ideas. He simply has memorized quite a few lines that other bigger channels have said and just repeats them in sequence. However, I think the pushback is more that when you were saying you expect this sort of behavior from theists, people don't mind addressing down to the theists because they're saying bigoted shit, not because they necessarily believe it, but because they're being told that you need to believe this in order to be fully inculcated into our silly little cults. Whereas
Sure.
Emperor Atheist, this is more a personal failing as opposed to an epistemological failure.
Which I think
this
is worse.
something that makes him a bad person, as opposed to a small package that comes with being a bad theist.
Yeah,
well, let me tell you. Let me just say this real quick. There are people like, and I know that a lot of people have very strong feelings towards SJ. But I was in a hangout one time where she vehemently defended me. She was a theist that vehemently stood up for me and my right to love who I want to. And so there are exceptions to that rule as well. There are exceptions to not all atheists. This is a good representation that not all atheists think the same way. There are differences between us, and you can still be bigoted. You can still have bad ideas. You can still hold harmful ideas. Carrying the term atheist does not give you a license or a get out of jail free card to be above any sort of reproach. When you have harmful and bad ideas, you should expect that somebody is going to call you out on that, no matter what, just like we do people who are believers.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a moral shortcoming. When it's one thing when you say, "Look, I'm against gays because of the Bible" or something like that, which I think that most Christians nowadays they don't even subscribe to that nonsense. The more educated ones certainly I think don't. But it's one thing to do that. You're deferring your morality to somebody else, right? That's bad. But worse is when you don't even do that and you actually have the moral shortcoming that you think it's morally reprehensible for some whatever reason or morally impermissible to be gay. I don't know how you justify that. I really don't know how that's justifiable in any moral ontology that I've ever read about. There is no way, in my opinion, that is something that is a rational mindset to have. And I think Kyle's right. EA having that position, he's without excuse. Because he's not even just saying I'm trying to justify it by using the Bible, which I find to be still absurd. But at least it's an attempt to try to justify it. I don't think he has any justificatory reasons for what he believes. I don't think he could justify it. Does that kind of I hope that makes sense because you're talking about epistemology, and I think you're right on that.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. It was more just a case of when something falls out of the expected paradigm, that's the reason for people reacting differently, as opposed to, it just being because he's perceived as a member of our community.
Yeah.
Like, how do I put it? Oh yeah, like when I sent you a tweet because I thought people were being really hard on Flat Earth Aussie Jesus, and then I realized, wait a second, I've never done anything but laugh when people have sent in scathing super chats mocking any other flat earther. It's because he's also an Aussie, and I see him as he's sort of an archetype of your typical bogan. He thinks what he thinks, and he stands by it. He makes his own beer. He's sort of he fits into a certain social character that I'm quite familiar with, and I immediately empathized with that. So people's reactions, I think, more vary because of the paradigm or how they perceive someone as fitting into a group, as opposed to, anyone being part of a specific community.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I know people dog on SJ. I see it in the live chat, but I see SJ as a person that can be able to change. I've known SJ a while. I've seen her actually change. I've seen her change her position. I've seen her apologize for things. Now, granted, there's still some just bad shit that she has said. Don't get me wrong, stuff that I vehemently disagree with, but I see potential for change there. She's someone you can actually have a conversation with, right? I just don't see that with Ian. This. I don't think that he's going to change on this. I think this is his hardcore position on it. He's doubled, he's tripled down on it. And I, honestly, I mean, if he sent me an apology like he sent Kyle, I wouldn't have accepted either.
Maybe he will. I don't know, but good on him if he does. I'm moving on though. He's taken up enough of my energy and time already, and I genuinely hope that he changes his mind. I hope that if nobody else, for nobody else's sake, for his daughters. He said that he has a daughter that is a member of the LGBTQ community, and I would hope that for her sake, he doesn't showcase those sort of feelings anywhere where she can feel that. That is my ultimate hope. I don't care if he ever feels bad for what he towards me or anything like that. I just hope for her sake that she doesn't have to grow up thinking that her father thinks less of her as a human being.
I agree.
Well, thank you very much for the conversation, guys. It's always great having a chat, and I'll definitely look forward to the next call-in show.
And by the way, that was a really good devil's advocate. I think that you did that exceptionally well. That's how you effectively do a devil's advocate. Very good.
Bravo.
Cheers, mate.
Let's take two more, and then we'll because I didn't realize what time it was. We'll take two more, and then we'll call her a night and get ready for the double header tomorrow.
These calls are so much fun. I really enjoy them. I mean, if we did them like once a week, I'd be thrilled. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just got through. That's crazy.
Who are we talking to?
I was just listening to the guy before, and I was really enjoying the conversation that you guys were having about Emperor Atheist, and especially the part about his daughter. Like, that stuff is that hits me really close to home.
What's your name first? Let's see who we're talking to.
Sorry, my name is Vicky. I'm from Colorado.
Vicky?
Yes.
Vicky.
Hey, Vicky. So Vicky, what hit home about that?
Well, I am a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I am pansexual, and my dad is still a religious person, as is my mom. I don't think any of us kids are anymore, but I think I'm the only one. Well, no, actually, my sisters and my nieces are all gay as well, and they have the same problems in their father, where all of them, they just don't feel comfortable with their parents, especially letting them know about who they are as a person. and that's awesome.
Do they know about you? Have you talked to them?
My mom does, and my sisters do, and I've gotten like clapbacks from them, like, "Oh, you're not really bisexual and stuff," and stuff like that. But both of my nieces are very out and proud, and it's awesome to see.
So, how do you feel that your father would react?
I'm actually not sure. My dad is a very strange person, but he's he did some things to one of my sisters when she was younger. I can assume you can imagine what that would be about. But yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's really hard to try and justify a relationship with him when I know what my older sister went through and what he put my mother through as well. So that in and of itself is very interesting. So it's really hard to try and figure out whether or not that's the person I should cut out of my life.
I am so sorry that that is awful. I'm so sorry that you just had to go through that. Well, knowing that, I think that obviously I can't imagine or put myself in your situation, but it would seem to me that you're probably not too concerned about what he thinks about you anyway, correct? Knowing what you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So are you close to your mom? Do you and your mom have a good relationship?
Oh yeah. We're really, really close, and I'm trying to get her to become an atheist. It's gonna be hard. She grew up very strictly Catholic with her parents, and a lot of the brainwashing that she's been dealing with as surviving from that, basically. So she went from being a Catholic to being like a sect of Pentecostal with my father, and then she got battered women syndrome when she first married my father, and then I think that also contributes to it. But I think I could get through to her. You guys really help in that respect. Is that I kind of know how to. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, if I could give you any advice on that, I would say that don't try to overly convert her, because this is something that's going to be a really big shock to her. She's probably grown up with this all of her life, and it's something that's going to take some time. The best thing that you can do for her is to, when she has those moments where she either hints around like asking questions, or you see a good opportunity with something that she says, to give her sort of the refutation of it, or another way to think about it. To me, it's important that you, and this happened with with my mother. I never wanted to seem like I was just like what she was getting at church, like I was preachy, or that I was trying to indoctrinate her or trying to convert her. I was there for her. I made sure that she knew that this is what I am now. I don't believe, but I still love her unconditionally. I'm still the same son that she's had. That didn't change me. Me going from a Christian to an atheist didn't make me any less her son, just like it's not going to make you any less her daughter. You just have to make sure that she knows that you're there for her, you love her, and when those moments open up, and they will, that you're there and you can give her the other side, or the refutation, and slowly but surely that will start to fade away as she sees that, okay, I have a daughter that is beautiful and doing well, and she is maybe what the book says isn't the right way to be, but maybe that book's wrong, and that's how that will start to sort of break away. But just make sure that you're there for her, and that will come.
And to kind of piggyback off what Kyle said, this is Dave. Just remember why you're doing it. You're doing it for her. Because if she perceives that you're doing it because you want her to be an atheist, that's not going to work at all. She has to actually want to convert or deconvert or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Well, my main thing is I just want her to like look for truth, because if you look at like stuff in the Bible and the stuff that she's been told her whole life, there's no truth to it. That's like the biggest thing is like, to me, truth is like the most important thing. And you see all these lies that these Christians say to people every single day. Like, she still spouts stuff that's like 30 years old that's been debunked. Like, it's bizarre.
You have to understand too that religion does something that is it's set up in a way that the sort of things that you're going to be saying and the doubt that she's going to be feeling is all designed to make her feel like she's waning on her faith a little bit. It's said that there will be, that your closest. It's a fail-safe. The moment that you start feeling that doubt, your mind is naturally curious. Like everybody's mind is naturally curious. It wants to know things. It wants to know how things work. It wants to know why things are the way that they are. And the way that religion is set up is such a way that it tells you that once you start feeling that, once you start questioning things, once you start having those thoughts, that is you being weak. And so you condition yourself. Yeah, you condition yourself to push that away. Like even in the face of something that's completely obviously wrong or a contradiction, you're able to explain it away. You're able to say the F word, the faith word. Well, it's just faith. And that's a conditioning that has gone on and on and on and on and on for years of, as soon as that natural curiosity comes up and you start to go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't really make, here I go again. I'm being disobedient. I need to do better. It's really a genius thing that they've got, but it takes a lot to break that sort of conditioning. So you just have to be patient with her and not push it so that she doesn't feel like, she's getting pressure. Just be her daughter, hang out with mom, be cool, and that stuff will come naturally. And any chance you get to where you're able to, point out where she, brings something up and you're able to say, well, have you thought about it this way? It's all about your approach. If you have the right approach and she's willing to hear you out, then you can have a really good conversation. And I think that things will work out just fine for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't try to push her too much because, I know she's teetering on the edge, but it would be too much to just assault her with all the stuff that I know now. So.
Yeah, the older generations, their mindsets are pretty solidified, right? They're not as malleable as younger generations, right? So, I mean, everybody who's had parents, which I think is pretty much anybody who's ever lied, had some parent or parent figure, right? We know that changing the mind of a parent is not an easy thing to do on anything, right? The key is just persistence. Now, like, for example, my parents, I've seen them change position, right? I mean, it's rare, but I mean, they used to be very conservative before my dad passed. My mom's still alive, but they used to argue like there should be a constitutional amendment to not burn the flag, where I argued to them that I don't agree with that. And they actually changed their position on that with good argumentation. So they can be done, right? But the key is, I can only speak as a parent, right? Because I'm not actually a member of the LGBTQ. But as a parent, if my daughter ever became, gay, trans, whatever, it wouldn't affect my love for her in any way, shape, or form. It wouldn't even be it would be a non-issue, right? And my daughter knows that. I mean, she's kind of a tomboy as it is, and that's the key thing is. And I think Rachel Oates had a video on this today. She's like, look, accepting of your kids unconditionally is what it is. It doesn't mean that you want your son or daughter to go out at age 15 and go sleep around, right? You're not condoning that kind of behavior, but you're accepting of them for who they are. And that's the key thing. As a parent, I accept my daughter for who she is, no matter what she is. She's a good moral person. Regardless if she fucks up here and there and does something that I don't agree with, we deal with that. But she's still my daughter. If she decides to be trans, if I have a son, whatever, it's fine, cool. It really is a non-issue to me, and I think that's the point. If you can get your parents to kind of accept that, then I think you're mostly the way there, right?
Definitely. And yeah, I know it's a long road ahead, but just trying to get her to start like thinking critically, because I've noticed when you grow up in the religious background, your critical thinking skills are just non-existent. Like, I would listen to arguments I give as a theist or whenever I was in the evangelical or Pentecostal Christian mindset. I had none of that, no critical thinking skills whatsoever. So if there's some way to get her to do that, I think she'd give
have her
up
watch
on
the
her
show.
theism, but
Just have her watch this show. Watch these shows. That'll help.
Well, no, don't, because that'll probably drive. If you give too much non-sec at one time, it drives people to either drink or go crazy, and we don't recommend either of those in this case.
Probably both. Yeah, probably both.
Yeah, and if you do, stay away from the flat earths. But you sound like you have your head on your shoulders. You have the right intentions, and as long as you stay, as long as you remember this, like, never lose sight of the fact that just love your mother. Just be there for your mom, and do right by her, and continue to think critically, and you won't have any issues whether she becomes an atheist or whether she remains a theist. She's still your mom, and all you can do is present the other side and just hope that one day it gets through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember acceptance is two-way street, right? You're asking for them to accept you for who you are. You kind of have to accept your parents for who they are sometimes too.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I try not to.
But that's a two-way street.
But we don't about it too much, so.
It's like my grandmother. I would never be able to convince my grandmother that heaven isn't real, and that it would just never happen. And it's just something that I've accepted. It's my grandmother, and that's not gonna come in between either of us. And so I just now it's just a thing where it's just my grandma. Like, it's not I don't see her as a theist that I need to convert. She is very strong-willed in her faith, and that's something that I'm not interested in taking away from her. And so she is not interested in taking away my stance on religion. So we just we hang out, we cook together, we eat, and we just talk about everything except for religion.
Pick your battles, man.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case.
Pick your battels. I mean, it's not worth it. I have family members in the same position, right? I mean, I told the story when my cousin had cancer. She's all praising Jesus that she only lost one kidney. And of course, my mind is like, well, why'd you get cancer in the first place? And the whole 9 yards. But I wasn't going to say anything like that, right? I'm not as much of a dick as people think I am. And I'm not going to try to take away her faith. I mean, she's much older than I am, and if it works for her, she's not hurting anybody, in my opinion. Now, people could say, well, all theistic claims hurt people, and I don't really run into that narrative or buy into that narrative. Yeah. But again, pick your battles wisely. And I agree with Kyle. There's no sense of bringing anonymity between you and somebody else if they're really kind of innocuous on their beliefs.
Especially that's what I told her. I said, listen, not even God's going to come between me and my grandmother. So I don't care how much she believes. That's my grandma, and we will not even God's going to come in between me and grandma. So, but thank you very much for calling in. We really appreciate it, and it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, this was a good call.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I love your guys' show. It's absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to take your word on that.
Good night.
You as well. All right. We'll take one final call, and then we will call it a night. So no pressure, caller, whoever you are. You're closing out.
It's kind of a hard call to follow, isn't it? It's really a hard position to follow that type of call. That's a good call.
It really was. See if we get one.
Hello.
Who are we speaking with?
You are speaking with the Holy Spackle.
Hey, Deidre.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? I had a question. There was a plea on your show with Emperor to disengage with him and unsub, and almost a suggestion that if you're subbed to him, then what kind of person is that? What does that say about you? Do you feel comfortable being connected to him? And I wanted to say that I am subbed to people that I disagree with all the time, and one of them is Red Pill Religion. There's not a thing, barely, that I can say I connect to and say, yeah, I relate to Max. I disagree with him on a lot of points, but I truly believe that if you have the ability to have a relationship with somebody that has either a bigoted view or a really backward mindset, that relationships over public shaming make an impact over time. Would you say that is a worthwhile attempt to connect with people?
Well, can I address this one first, actually?
Sure.
Because this was actually Reds that actually had said that, and I think he was talking more about his channel, right? I mean, a lot of YouTubers, as you well know, I mean, their sub count is their lifeblood, and he's very proud of his sub count. I mean, he actually made it a point to say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, as I lose subscribers, my bank account goes up." Don't know what he means by that, but he did basically infer that a lot of his he didn't care if he was going to purge people. He actually said #purge on one tweet that he did, or one I don't know, on Facebook or on Twitter. I think it's Twitter that he said it, #purge. So he was fine with that. I don't have him blocked on Facebook, right? Again, I even said I wanted to see what he has to say, and I understand Red's call out for that. That wasn't Kyle. That was Red's call out for that, to unsubscribe to his channel, which, by the way, I have. I don't subscribe to his channel nor Three Black Heathens. I never subscribed to that channel, anyways. But that was, I think, was the thing is, how do we as a community handle these kind of things? Do you want to subscribe to this kind of person? Now, I'm like you, Holy Spackle. I really don't go out of my way to say, hey, don't subscribe to this person or unsubscribe. You know me long enough. I don't think I've ever done that. I had some issues with G-Man before, where maybe I said something along the lines of, if you come into my channel, don't subscribe to him because I don't want to deal with G-Man. But for the most part, I don't go around saying, like, don't subscribe to the Red Pill Religion, right? I've never done that either. Me and Max do not see eye to eye on things, but I've never said don't go subscribe to Red Pill Religion. But I can see sometimes why there's a need to. In this particular case, I kind of support Reds in why he said that, if that makes sense.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
And here's my take. He asked a very fair question, I think. Like, there are people that I watch, like you do, like you would Max, so that you can keep up with Max. Brett Keane is mine. I very rarely miss a Brett Keane video. I don't know why, but there's just something that I can't not look away from that. But I am not subscribed to Brett Keane. I just will check his page every now and then, because I just don't want my my subscriber base, or the people that I'm subscribed to be associated with that. I'll watch his videos out of I guess it's hate watching, but I don't want to be counted among the subscriber count that he has, so that he gets a false sense of support. And I think that there's a certain line that you get to where you say certain things, and it should have, like, if I were to say something, if I were to compare a group of people to pedophiles, like was done in this case, I would expect to wake up and most of my subscriber base be gone, because they're good, decent people, and they don't want to have their name associated with somebody that would say such horrible things. I just would expect that. And so I think that Reds was making the point that, I mean, in reality, he was just asking a question. Do you want to be associated with those sort of comments? And I think that's a very fair fair question, and I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah, well, I'm a sub to anti-theism, and I find an anti-theism that I like, and the closest is Shannon Q. But most anti-theists, I have a really tough time with, but I'm subbed with them, and I guess it's sort of a hate sub, not particularly an active hate, but you watch what they have to say, and
sure,
converse with the people that you're in your circles about what they have to say and their critiques and stuff. But I just think it would be silly to search somebody's account and then assume that they align with everything, based on that. I have Christians and non-Christians. I have pagans, and I'm not a pagan. It just seems kind of goofy to me. And as far as bigotry goes, I do think that those were bigoted statements, and I think that I'm LGBTQ, LGBTQ too.
Can you hear me? Hey, yeah. Before we get too far away from that first point, let me see if I can't give you an example of what I mean. The anti-theists that you are sub to, like you mentioned Shannon Q and them. I think that even though you may disagree with them on a theological level or sort of their positions that they have against religion, I think that you deep down know that Shannon is a good and decent person. That she, although you may think she is wrong theologically, that other than that, she has a value system. She has morals. She's not looking to harm anyone. She's looking to do the most good. She just doesn't have that one tick in the box that you have. Now, if you contrast that with somebody like, let's say, Richard Spencer, who advocates for an ethno state and is blatantly racist. I don't think you can compare the two, even though you may consider that watching both of them is you have stances that are in conflict with both of them. One is way more egregious than the other. One is actively trying to harm people. One has a harmful position. The other just has a position that you think is different in a theological sense. Other than that, I would go out on a limb and say that I think you think Shannon is a good and decent person. You see the difference between those two, even though they both might be considered.
But and I am a big critic of Emperor on a big level, but it's not just this. It's how in general how he approaches religion and everything else. But my point is that when I look at Emperor, my personal risk assessment is very low of him. When I look at bigotry, with Godless Engineer was extremely off base when he compared him to Steenman Anderson. I don't pick up anything about Emperor that says that he's willing to kill a homosexual or even beat them up or anything like that. And so my risk assessment of Emperor is probably closer to Matt Slick. Oh, it's dirty, it's depraved, it's icky, I don't like it. Which, maybe for me, I put bigotry on a sliding scale of what I can tolerate and engage with, and what I can't absolutely tolerate and engage with. I don't know. Is bigotry on a sliding scale?
That's a tough question to answer. I don't like. To me, I would have to say, if I was answering honestly and for myself, I would have to say that it is, because there's a difference between Emperor Atheist saying, I am uncomfortable with the gay lifestyle, and him saying, I don't think that an 11-year-old should be around grown gay men. That to me is a much more egregious level, because he's essentially saying that grown gay men can't handle themselves around kids. Now, the uncomfortable aspect I can deal with. You can talk through that. You can work. I know plenty of people, straight people, that are they just haven't been around people who are gay, and at first it's uncomfortable because it's something new. That can be sort of broken down over time as you get used to people. There's a big leap from somebody that thinks that kids shouldn't be allowed to be alone with grown gay people. So yes, if I was answering for me, I would say that there is a sliding scale to bigotry.
Yeah, it was more than him just being uncomfortable. I get that as well. Look at if somebody's uncomfortable with something, I totally understand that. I don't think we should be going after people to say, look at, I'm just not comfortable with homosexuality, but to each his own, stuff like that. I really think that's innocuous. I really do. What he was saying was basically not that he just didn't agree with the whole homosexual, which by the way is to me is like saying I don't agree you're black. Makes no sense to me. But I'm at least to give him some leeway. But the things that he had followed up with and the things that he had said last year, you have to take as a whole. It's an aggregate, right? And so he basically is more than just saying, look, and I'm uncomfortable with homosexuality. He said some pretty vile and defaming things recently and before, right? So I think there's a lot more to it than just him saying, I don't want to be around gay people because I'm not comfortable, even though that is something I find egregious. That is, I think, manageable. I think people can work around that and change the minds of those kind of people. But what he said, I think it's kind of something that most people that say those kind of things not easily going to be changing their position on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's usually a change in position like that. In my experience and then witness of I think you guys are shocked because it's a non-religious person, but bigotry doesn't have to be tied to religion. I'm sorry, anti-theist.
Sure.
I know that you think it is, but it's not.
No,
it literally is some ingrained social behavior that is ingrained in these people, and so what happens is usually if somebody's going to change their mind, it's going to be because they have a gay kid, or it's going to be because their sister's gay, or it's going to, and something will suddenly click, and that relationship bond will eventually make a change.
I'm shocked because it came from somebody that I considered a friend, not so much that the non-religious thing was secondary to the fact that I had went to sort of bat for this person and dealt with it before. Like this is the second occurrence of it, and just felt like kind of had or
you helped promote his other channel. You helped promote a project they was working on that I wanted nothing to do with, and I don't, I never subscribed to it, but you were more than welcome to, and you went out of your way to help him on that. I think he shat on you.
I believe in the product. I know that there are that the African American community, especially being atheist, that's doubly hard because you're discriminated against almost double, because not only are you black, but you're also going against a African Americans are the most religious group, and so I still believe in that. Like I wanted that story to be out there and known, because I know that it's something that people deal with, and I don't like discrimination, and I want people to understand the sort of the struggle, and I still believe in that concept of the show. Maybe not with him being a part, but the concept is still good. Like people still need to know that that's a thing that happens. So it's just a really bad situation that I'm, after tonight, am turning around to and moving forward. Like I think I've said all that I could say about this situation, and I don't have any interest in dragging it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no reason to. It's a kind of it's a done deal. I think we know everybody where they stand. Let him suffer the ramifications and deal with it on his own terms. Other than that, I really don't have anything to add on either. I mean, it's just at this point, I think people have said their piece. Rachel Oates said her piece. She had a good video on it. Where else do you want to go on it? I mean, I don't like prolonging that kind of stuff either. There's no reason to.
Do you have anything else to hold us back?
Nope, that's it. I just wanted to kind of mention a couple of my concerns and to kind of see what you thought about it. So, take care.
No problem.
Glad you called. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. All in all, I think that was a fantastic stream. Got a lot of good callers. I like hearing from you guys. Let me pull up Steve, you got anything while I pull up the super chats?
No, it's just like I said, I do enjoy these call in. I don't know how many times people want to see them once a week. maybe once every other week. I don't know. But I think that they really do enjoy it. I think it really is a good way to communicate with people and get different mindsets and different opinions and foster dialogue, because that's what we're about. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm happy when somebody calls in. I'm happy to have a conversation with them. I mean, we prefer when people disagree in some ways, obviously, because we want to be challenged. This is not an echo chamber. This channel and show has never been an echo chamber and never will be. So if you have something that you have a contention with, speak up. We'll listen. And I enjoy these types of things.
Also, this Friday, we will be having a show on Friday. I will be live in Dallas. We will be having conversations with. I'm going to try to get Rachel Oates and Rationality Rules and Cosmic Skeptic, and of course Shannon will be on. We're going to try to get the whole group in little pieces. I'm not sure exactly the plan for Friday, but I know we're all going to be there, and so we'll be coming to you live from Dallas with some of your favorite creators. And then, yes.
Real quick, you may not know, I don't think you know this, but I was just literally talking to Aaron about, 45 minutes ago during the show. He messaged me. He's really looking forward to this. He thought I was going to, which I'm not, but I told him, I wish I would. I'd love to go have a beer with him and eat some hot crab. I only asked that he take care of you and don't let you die on me, because I really don't want to break in anybody new. So that he kind of told me that he's gonna make sure that you don't die on him, because you may need a liver transplant, but you're not going to die. Okay. So I did look out for you, Kyle.
Aaron and I are going to be doing a thing on Saturday with Jim Hall. So you can look, that'll be on Jim's channel. Aaron and I are going to be doing something on Jim's channel on Saturday. And then you'll get to, I'm going to take stories for you guys. So make sure that you check the community tab. You will get to see the Saturday night of me, Shannon, Aaron, all of us going out to the Dallas nightlife. I will probably regret posting a lot of that on the stories feature. So, but make sure that you check. Make sure that you check the stories on our communities tab. You will get to see our night out, and then Sunday, Aaron and I will be jumping in the car and driving to Austin. So you will check that same tab, the communities tab, and you'll get to take a little road trip with Aaron and I as we go to check out Talk Heathen live. So it's going to be a really good weekend.
Cal, if you don't regret something, if you don't have something that you post that you regret, you didn't have that good of a time.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you got to release one thing.
Don't worry, everybody. We're taking you along for the weekend. I will. I am a big when I do things like this, I'm a big posting whore. So it'll be like you're there. So make sure that you stick with us and check for updates, because it'll be happening often. There's going to be a lot of people there and a lot going on. And so I will bring you all of the updates. Just follow us on our story here on the YouTube community tab. And you can comment there. We can keep in touch. And I can ask also, there's a cool feature where I can, I believe you can leave me questions and I can answer them through the stories. Like you can type a question and I have to answer it through the video. So maybe we'll do that where you leave some questions for some of the, the content creators there, and I will go around and play reporter and we'll ask them. But you will be along for the ride. So I'm not leaving any of you out. So it'll be a really good, fun weekend. We're going to get drunk and hopefully not get kicked out of the hotel. That's the running bet. Yeah. Shannon and I are going to get kicked out. Okay.
Somebody's going to go to jail that night.
I've already done my time. We talked about that earlier. I've already done my time.
Real quick, I put, somebody had asked for me to put, or to give him Jim's link. His channel is Atheist Edge. I put in the video description. Go sub to him. Go say hi to him in one of his videos. Jim is a really amazing guy. I think the world of Jim. He's actually, I consider to be an actual good online friend who I talk with quite frequently, actually. And I really wish I was going to say hi to him. And maybe next time I will, because of all the people that I would love to go meet, Jim is just an amazing, amazing person, along with everybody else, of course, Shannon and Cosmic Skeptic and Rational Rules. I mean, all of them, just amazing people. But Jim is really a good man. Go sub to him. He deserves to have some subs.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. Okay, Kuyasa requesting a live reading of Brenda's Beaver Needs a Barber. Is that hold on? I'm gonna actually Google that. If that's not a thing, I'm gonna be so pissed at you.
Can you read that again?
Brenda's Beaver. Oh my God, looks like it's a real thing. Okay. Oh, it's from the name of the publisher is Reach Around Books. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to be reading this, but nevertheless, he persisted. See if anybody gets that reference.
Clue.
I'm gonna. Somebody would get that reference. I don't. You'll have to send me a link. I don't see anything that I can read without buying the book. I probably shouldn't even be. Yeah, no. You'll have to send me a link to that. And I will read it. Why not? Okay. Lysandring, listen to the mustn'ts child. Oh, listen to the don'ts, listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts, listen to the never haves, the listen close to me, anything can happen, child, anything can be, the mustn'ts. I got that now. Johan Roderick says isn't it supposed to be the lasso of truth? And again says can't stay, gotta go record. Here's more money. Love you guys. We love you too. Thank you for the super chat. The Random Explorer says I need a Kyle toupee. Is that a compliment or is he saying that I look like I have a toupee?
Oh, I thought you meant toupee rather than toupee, like two words. You don't look like you have a toupee. No, that's
okay,
all
good.
natural.
That would emotionally like scar me.
No, not at all.
Jacob Graham, I smoked all that weed from the evidence locker and gave 420. Nice. Kuyasa, let's sue Kyle for emotional abuse. He makes people's heart throb. Oh my God. Killian Holland, Ireland finally got rid of its blasphemy laws after Stephen Fry had a magnificent bitch fit. Well, Stephen Fry is another one of my heroes. Him and Christopher Hitchens in the Catholic debate was one of the most magnificent things I've ever seen in my life. That was if you want to watch something powerful, watch Stephen Fry at Intelligence Squared. Is the Catholic Church a force for good in the world with Christopher Hitchens? And they nailed it.
Yeah, I got to admit that was probably one of my all-time favorite debates I've ever watched. That was what a debate should be. That they swayed more people in that debate than I've ever seen in any debate online. I mean, that it was the definitive debate to show how you debate against bad ideas. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Okay, it goes back to what I said earlier about assholes living forever. His Hitchens was taken way too soon. That man was even theists loved him. I mean, he just had a charm and a wit and an ability to just destroy you with. He had a way of being able to destroy you and making you thank him for it when it's over. You know, like completely dismantling your argument and saying, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" I mean, we just don't have anybody like that anymore. Jacob Graham says, I already read that one. 2B and 323, I stand with you, Kyle. Emperor Bitchmade. Yep, he is at the top of the Bitchmade list. Science enthusiast. I love you guys. We love you too. Brian Stevens, SJ is greater than Emperor Atheist. Aussie Globehead, Shieldbot is sharing the love. Thank you, Aussie Globehead. Cameron Jones, my partner, just passed his defense to earn his PhD in political science. Can y'all congratulate him? His name is Michael, and he's a big fan. Well, Michael, not only do you have a lovely partner, but we are proud of you in your education. Can't even talk. In your educational career and your pursuit of your PhD in political science. Congratulations, and I hope you do the most good with that. Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Yeah, congratulations, man. That is not an easy thing to do. I hear, and this is again from what I hear, writing a thesis is difficult enough, but defending it, that's where the challenge really is, because I hear they can ask you anything about anything when you're defending your thesis. So huge props on that. That is a huge milestone and accomplishment.
Absolutely. Cameron Jones then sent a super chat with no message. If that was if you meant to say something, you can let me know in the side chat, and I will make sure that I say that. Let me see where I'm at here. Yokai theories: don't get drunk and bring water. Oh, if I only had $1 for every time I had that said to me before I got drunk, didn't bring water, and regretted it the next day.
Drink water beforehand. It helps more. It's good afterwards, but drink water before you go drinking. It has more of a benefit.
And forgive me for this next super chat provider. Conmin Nugan. Lord, I hope I did that justice.
Gwyn. I think it's comment Gwyn.
Comment Gwyn. Sure. Whichever one of those is correct. You left a super chat with no message. Thank you. The Random Explorer. It was a compliment. I want your hair. Oh, good. You have no idea how much better you do. I was really concerned about that.
He's gonna have finally, 2 bowls of cinnamon toast crunch tonight over here. That
I was about to, and I don't need to, because I don't need to be bloated for this weekend. Killian Holland says, look up Stephen Fry and Gay Byrne. That was the conversation that brought attention to our blasphemy law. Is that the one where you sitting in the that room with the that priest and had that conversation? Because that was that bitch don't play. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so that's the well, there's one more. No, I already read that one. Thank you, Aussie Globhead again. Okay. So that'll do it for us tonight. Anybody else got anything to say before we wrap up?
Nope. Dave, anything for us?
Nope.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll be back here. Remember, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, we're having an early show, and then our regularly scheduled show at 9. At 4 p.m. Eastern, Mr. Price and Mr. Lindenberger will be here. They will be having a discussion on the critical thinking process applied to religion. And then at 9 p.m., we will attempt to survive Flat Out Elected, Rand Campbell, Pimpin' Ain't Easy, whatever he wants to go by. We will attempt to survive his.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You say Pimpin' Easy?
But it sure is fun. Good night.
Good night.